He works on everything I do and I work on everything he does. Like, I would assume that most directors in Hollywood...
It was supposed to be Blake Lively's grand return to the spotlight, a moment that would set the stage for her new movie's premiere, an opportunity to shine like the star she always was. But instead of the usual warm cheers and flashing cameras, Blake was met with something far more uncomfortable, something that would mark the beginning of her unraveling. The evening of her premiere, which was meant to showcase her glamour and success, quickly turned into a public spectacle, one that she never saw coming. Blake Lively, known for her effortless charm and poised red carpet presence, had always managed to maintain an image that seemed untouchable. But on that night, the fans outside the venue had other plans. As Blake made her way from the car, ready to face the glimmering lights and flashing cameras, she was greeted not with adoration, but with shouts of "Justice for Justin Baldoni." The protesters were there in full force, waving signs, chanting, making it clear that this night wasn't going to go as she had hoped. The crowd wasn't there to celebrate her. Instead, they were rallying for Justin Baldoni.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie.
The actor embroiled in a growing legal battle with Blake herself. It was a shocking sight. Blake had spent years cultivating a perfect image of a sweet, grounded Hollywood darling. Now the cracks were showing and there was nowhere to hide. As she walked the red carpet, she tried to maintain her composure, plastering on that familiar smile that had made her one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. But you could tell it wasn't easy. Her steps were a little more hesitant, her eyes darting toward the crowd, as if expecting something to happen at any moment. She managed to pose for a few photos, wave and smile for the cameras, but it was clear she was rattled. Blake's strategy, at least in the beginning, seemed to be to act unbothered. She was going to show that nothing could shake her. But the longer she stood there, the more obvious it became that she couldn't keep pretending. In the past, Blake loved talking to the media, always ready with witty remarks or a charming story about her family, career, or personal life. But tonight, not a single interview. Not one.
Listen to me, Blake Lively. Tap out. Tap out. Call Uncle right now.
She knew that the moment she opened her mouth, the questions about the ongoing lawsuit with Justin Baldoni would come flooding in. And she wasn't prepared to answer them. Her silence spoke volumes. Fans and media alike couldn't help but notice how she avoided the spotlight, hiding behind the facade of a perfect public image that was quickly crumbling. Yet, the drama didn't end with Blake's awkward red carpet appearance. Things took an even stranger turn when Lori Feig, the wife of the film's director Paul Feig, showed up in the middle of the chaos. Lori, seemingly just another excited fan in the crowd, was standing behind the barricades when Blake walked up to her and, to the surprise of many, took a selfie with her. The optics were baffling. Here was the wife of the director, someone who could have easily walked into the event and mingled with the stars, pretending to be just another fan on the street. Lori's actions did not go unnoticed. Critics quickly pointed out the oddity of the situation. Was she trying to control the narrative, make it appear that Blake still had a solid support system, even though the real fans outside were making their disdain known?
Don't go to the interviews trying to make yourself a thing because you know you're going to get pressed this question, and every time he gets...
Lori's attempt to create a facade of support only served to make things worse. And then, she made the situation even more explosive. After the premiere, she took to social media to attack anyone who dared to support Justin Baldoni. Lori didn't just clap back. She went into full attack mode. Her posts were aggressive, defensive of Blake, and downright hostile toward those who sided with Justin. She made it clear that in her eyes, Blake was the true victim and that Justin was the one to blame for everything. But it didn't stop there. In a now-deleted tweet, Lori even took aim at Emily Baldoni, Justin's wife, suggesting that Emily was horrified by her husband's actions. This was beyond just defending Blake. It was an all-out assault on Justin's character and his family. The fallout was immediate. Fans were enraged, calling Lori out for her behavior. And as the backlash grew, the reality of the situation began to sink in for Blake. The premiere she had hoped would revive her career was, in fact, turning into a PR nightmare. The people who had supported her for so long were now turning against her, fueled by a toxic mix of accusations, social media drama, and public protests. As the premiere continued, the public's attention shifted from the excitement of her return to the bitter fight that had overshadowed her career. But the drama didn't end with Lori's tweets. The tension escalated further when Anna Kendrick, one of Blake's co-stars, entered the scene. Anna, who had worked with Blake in the past, was now facing questions from the press about what it was like to work with her again. Fans and media alike were on high alert, eager to see how Anna would respond to the inevitable question about Blake. Anna's answer was quick and blunt, almost too quick. "Oh, it was interesting. That was it. No effusive praise. No mention of what a joy it was to work with Blake. Just a dry, curt response." Social media exploded. Fans dissected every word, every facial expression. Anna's response was seen as a calculated move, a subtle but pointed message to the public. She didn't need to say much for people to read between the lines. The awkwardness between Anna and Blake was palpable. As Blake spoke about the movie and her experiences filming in Capri, Anna stood right next to her, barely engaging. She looked down, avoided eye contact, and at one point, glanced up just long enough to give the smallest acknowledgement before looking down again. It was a clear signal that she was uncomfortable and didn't want to be associated with the growing controversy surrounding Blake. And then there was Michelle, another one of Blake's co-stars. During a red carpet moment, as Blake adjusted her dress, she made a joke about being braless. The moment was cringeworthy, and Michelle's reaction was one of pure panic. He froze, looking as if he wanted to run away from the awkwardness. His face was a picture of discomfort, and it was obvious. He didn't want to be involved in whatever mess Blake was tangled up in. He quickly turned his head, pretending to adjust his hair, doing everything in his power to avoid getting dragged into the scandal. The real kicker, though, was that this wasn't just a moment of uncomfortable red carpet banter. Michelle's reaction symbolized something much bigger, an entire industry that was starting to distance itself from Blake Lively. Studios, directors, and fellow actors were quietly backing away from her. It was clear that the negative attention surrounding her was beginning to overshadow her career, and no one wanted to be the next person to get caught in the crossfire. Blake's career, once at the top of the Hollywood food chain, was now hanging by a thread. Her credibility was taking a hit. Her fan base was rapidly diminishing, and the whispers about her behavior on set were becoming louder. Directors and studios that had once been eager to work with her were now wary. The premiere had been a disaster, and it wasn't just because of the protesters outside. The real issue was that Blake's reputation was crumbling right before everyone's eyes. As the fans turned on her, Blake seemed to be at a loss for what to do next. She had always been able to control the narrative, to manage her public image with grace. But now everything was falling apart. The silence at the premiere, the awkward interactions with her co-stars, and the growing public backlash made it clear. Blake wasn't the untouchable star she used to be. She was just another Hollywood figure caught in a whirlwind of scandal and controversy. As this drama continues to unfold, it's clear that Blake Lively is on the brink of a career implosion. Fans, once enamored with her charm, are now protesting her actions. The industry is turning its back on her. And as the lawsuit with Justin Baldoni plays out in the public eye, the question remains, will she be able to salvage her career, or is this the beginning of the end? The public has made their choice, and it seems the majority are firmly behind Justin Baldoni. Blake, on the other hand, appears to be lost in the storm, struggling to regain control. If the premiere was any indication, things are only going to get worse from here. The drama is far from over, and for Blake, the worst is yet to come.